let's get into the big topic of open source, something that we actually say at Red Hat.
This is so awesome.
We are an open culture that believes in the importance of
What is that process that a developer, or let's say,
as the Kubernetes ecosystem really boomed.
Hello, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is the Red Hat Asking the OpenShift admin live stream. We are joined today by the team from Trilio. You may notice that my wonderful co-host Andrew is not here, and that is because he is out defending America and saving the world and doing all the great things that Sully does. So he will not be here this week. I think he's actually going to be absent the next couple of weeks because he's got some prior professional engagements that come with his manager title that will keep him from being available to the live stream. So we miss him. He'll be back, but we're going to try and keep it going as good as we can. So before I get into the top of mind topics, I just want to kick it over to the Trilio team and let them introduce themselves really quick.
Thanks, Jonny. This is Murali Balcha, CTO and founder at Trilio. For the people who don't know Trilio, Trilio is one of the premier ISV partner of Red Hat. We specialize in backup and recovery of the Red Hat platforms like OpenStack and OpenShift and OpenShift Virtualization. We've been in the business for last 10 years, and we have very differentiating solution in these markets, a true backup and recovery as a service for OpenStack clouds, and also for the OpenShift and OpenShift Virtualization.
Awesome.
So my name is Rodolfo Casas. I'm a senior solutions architect at Trilio for the last 4 years. And before that, I was playing as a Red Hat instructor for quite some years. I take the chance to say hello to all my fellow instructors out there traveling. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining. We really appreciate it. It's kind of cool how it's all worked out. And Rodolfo, I can't remember I think it's Kevin. You and Kevin had come on a year ago, or maybe a year and some change ago, and did some stuff. It was pretty awesome. So it's cool to see it kind of coming full circle, and we're excited to see how Trilio is progressed and come along, and seeing some of the new hotness that's out there. So yeah, before we get started, just some top of mind topics. If you are in a disconnected environment, there's going to be some firewall changes. And if you check out this link, make sure that you, if you're in a disconnected environment, or if you're using a proxy, or if you're using some type of environment that requires that you have your firewall updated, make sure that you make these changes because there are going to be some changes, I think, at the end of this month. Just follow that article. It'll tell you what to do and what changes are required. So if your registry breaks all of a sudden, it most likely is because your firewall is blocking the new connections that are going to be put in place. Additionally, on March 12th, that's when the migration from docs.openshift.com to docs.redhat.com is going to happen. So make sure that you are prepared for that. I'm almost 100% certain that there's going to be a redirect if you go to openshift.com, but just in case you're wondering, the new Docs platform that Sully and I have been talking about for a while now, that's actually going to be in place March 12th. So just be ready for that. The last announcement that I have is if you're in the San Antonio area, there is a Red Hat user group tomorrow night from 6 to 8 p.m. There's going to be a bunch of solution architects there. There's going to be a guy named Vince that's going to be there, and he's going to be presenting GitOps with ACM and OpenShift GitOps and OpenShift and stuff like that. So come check it out. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be other people that don't know anything about OpenShift. There's going to be people that know a lot about OpenShift, and we're all just going to have a good time and talk about stuff and just be a bunch of nerds in one room, and I think it's going to be awesome. So come check it out. Hit me up, Jonny@redhat.com, if you need the details. Otherwise, I'm going to try and find the link when Murali and Rodolfo are talking, so that way you can actually register and sign up, and hopefully I'll see you there. With that, let's kick it off. Let's get after it. So I guess Murali, if you wanna go into the spiel on Trilio.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was my cue to tell you what to do, and I completely failed.
Well, I think we'll kick off. So a brief introduction on Trilio. Trilio, we've been in the business, as I said, like a backup and recovery. We are a little different than not traditional backup, because backups, it started with like a storage centric. You have these big applications that were deployed, and when you have the data backup is done, you are pretty much guaranteed that you have a backup. But over the period of time, like when the applications are evolved and they are a lot more scalable, you can't just take the backup of just the data, but you need to take the entire application backup. That includes in a multi-tier application, the VMs and the network connectivities and the security groups, all the storage attached. So you need to take every piece of that information that is associated with application, and then recover the entire application in its entirety. So in that way, we started a bit unique. And the other thing is, when you look at the clouds, backup used to be a central administrator function, where the administrator knows every application that is running in the data center. But as the IT has moved into more consumer-based, consumer-centric entity, where the end user owns the applications and manages the applications, the backup becomes a functionality that need to be exposed to that tenant. And that is a paradigm shift that happened, and we, that's how we led in OpenStack, and our functionality is completely driven by the end user, and we provide like very simple to use functionality to the end user tenant for the backup and recovery. So that's our journey started, and we are experts in the KVM. We always stayed with that KVM, and KVM has gone through a few iterations. Like it started with Red Hat Virtualization Platform, and then OpenStack, and then now OpenShift Virtualization. But there is already a trend growing, and most of the industry, even leaders, are moving towards open source based virtualization technologies like OpenShift Virtualization. And OpenShift Virtualization is going to be our primary focus. So is Red Hat. Red Hat is pushing a lot on OpenShift Virtualization, because various things that are happening in the industry, and one of them is obviously open source. That is the driving force for many of the industries leaders. So we are there to basically serve that market, and we have very compelling offering. Check us out. So today, I have my colleague Rodolfo. He's our senior SA at Trilio, and he will be demonstrating the offering that we have. I think we'll be focusing more on the OpenShift virtualization and the functionality that we have. So it will be the offering will be compelling for the people who are migrating especially from VMware to OpenShift to virtualization. That is one of the primary driver we are seeing in the last 1 year, right? And that is just speeding up. When there are a couple of things that people need to keep in mind when people are migrating from VMware to OpenShift virtualization. They need to understand that the ecosystem that OpenShift virtualization and then the VMware is a lot different. The tooling that you have between the platforms is a lot different in the processes and DevOps and CDCA pipeline. So everything is a lot different. So it's not just a platform replacement with another platform. So there is people, processes, and skill set that is involved. The architectural changes that someone need to take that into consideration to have your applications perform well with the OpenShift virtualization. There are all those things that people need to consider when they are migrating from VMware to OpenShift virtualization.
That's a good point, right? Because until you said that, I was like, yeah, it sounds obvious. But then when you say it, I'm like, no, it's a solid point, because it's not just VMware. It's VMware and its family of products that you've integrated into your entire data center environment, right? So yeah, it totally makes sense that it's more than just the VM moving from one environment to another. You're actually moving away from one family of technology into another ecosystem of tech. Ecosystem was probably the best word that you could actually say there.
Mm-hmm.
Like one ecosystem of tech to another ecosystem of tech, and although there's a lot of parity, it's not one for one. It's not bit for bit, right? It's not feature for feature. So it is. There are going to be some challenges there.
Yeah, and the technical skills that are needed,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
There will be a little bit frustrating because people try to see the same functionality, same processes available, but it is definitely a different platform.
And language is a little different too, right? Like the way that we describe things is a little bit different than maybe like how VMware does it.
Yeah. But the one advantage that people find is the consolidation of containers and virtual machines, because containers are going to stay, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with the Kubernetes, you have containers natively available as well as the virtual machines natively available, and you can extend the tooling that is already in place for the containers to the virtual machine. So overall, I'm pretty sure like the TCO works out very well. Once the migration is complete, people just adapt to the new way of doing things with the OpenShift virtualization.
Yeah.
So one of the key functionality obviously people are looking for is the backup and recovery, and there are a plethora of tools that are available on VMware, right? Big vendor supported VMware virtual machines for quite some time. And they work very, very well with VMware. And VMware also helped the partner ecosystem to grow in that area. And the tooling works very well. So when one of the key requirement for the people to migrate from VMware to OpenShift virtualization is having a true time-tested backup and recovery solution available. Frankly, obviously, this OpenShift virtualization is evolving fast, and there is a big community behind it. But the ecosystem is also evolving. There are some shortfalls, shortcomings in this one. Be prepared for that. We are trying to address as quick as possible to any issues and any gaps in our functionality to be on par with what is available in the VMware, what VMware users get used to it. But there will be challenges. But so the one of the key thing that we are seeing is VMware has something called storage accelerators like VAI, so where they can invoke the storage functionality for perform a better backup, a quicker backup, that like change block tracking that you can call. So that is still evolving in the OpenShift space. There are shortcomings, but I think the ecosystem is evolving fast.
Awesome. And the change block tracking, that's a Kubernetes thing that's still being worked on, right? Like upstream or downstream rather.
Yeah, that is a sub project in the CS in the storage community. I think it is probably they will have some alpha release sometime soon, but before it becomes completely a GA, we are at least like a couple of years away.
Nice.
Okay. So with that, why don't we switch gears and let Rodolfo take us down our product offering, how our product is integrated with the Red Hat ecosystem. That includes the ACM and the Ansible and everything, right? And give us a demo of Trilio functionality.
Yes, last time when Kevin was here, unfortunately he fell ill this week. He's sorry for not coming, but okay.
How convenient.
So yeah. So last time we demoed our integration with the Red Hat ecosystem, ACM, Ansible, GitOps, okay. And this time, seeing the evolution of OpenShift for containers, OpenShift for containers and VMs, and OpenShift virtualization engine just for VMs. So I wanted to give it a different angle to try to relax these admins, these companies, thinking, oh, it's just complex, it's scary, it's difficult, it's the learning curve is massive. Okay, there is a complete change of mind. Okay, so first of all, I want to show you something we've been building for the last year, which is the integration with the OpenShift UI. I'm going to share my screen so you can immediately see this. Okay. And I also will mention features along the way and probably show you. I'm sharing my screen now. Yeah. So we have a OpenShift Virtualization installed in this cluster. Okay. I have 3 different VMs. This could be virtual machines that were recently migrated from a legacy platform or new VMs. Okay, and once Murali and I we read about the dynamic console plugin, we need to have that. Okay, because we had that in Red Hat Virtualization, also in OpenStack, and now we have it in the OpenShift UI. Okay, so right now you have the Trilio backups tab. Okay, it's just there. Once you install the operator, 5 minutes. You can enable the console plugin, and then you have this nice view. You don't have to go out of the OpenShift UI to see how many to configure stuff, or I want to take a quick backup of some VMs or some namespace. You can do it straight away, and you don't need to have a lot of knowledge about OpenShift. Okay, probably you are learning by yourself by doing, or you had some Red Hat training, so you are more or less familiar with the OpenShift UI. And yeah, this is we leverage this existing knowledge from the customer to just click the create a backup. Okay, I'm in the namespace Rodolfo. Okay, I click next, then I select a backup target, which we support NFS or S3. Okay, so I choose NFS, click next, and then put a backup name, backup 6, for example, create, and that's it. I launched a backup from the OpenShift UI. As simple as that. It is running already. Okay, I can go to overview and I can see that it is in progress. Okay, so that's it. Why is this important? It is important, as I said, for day one operations. We want to do stuff straight away. Okay, we of course we are thinking about automating stuff with Ansible, but maybe that's next month. Okay, or maybe we are going to configure ACM to manage hundreds of clusters. Okay, and then do policy-based backups. I just have to set up a policy, and it will take care of installing Trilio operator and taking backups in hundreds or thousands of clusters. But until we get there, there are other kind of customers that they're going to use this. Okay, it's not just simple and easy. Okay, um, I took a backup. You can go to backups. You can create a restore. Okay, I'm going to select this one, for example, click restore. I'm going to select it. I'm going to choose what namespace I want to restore to. In this case, I'm going to choose Rodolfo restore. I'm just restoring without doing anything special. Okay, just whatever is in the backup is going to be restored in that project. Okay, and that's it. Okay, I can also configure targets. Okay, as simple as create target, and then you choose the namespace for the target, the name, or Wasabi or Amazon S3 or whatever you want. As I said, we support NFS, object store. Okay, we support multiple vendors, even vendors that are not listed can use this option. Okay, so it is very simple to create targets from the UI. Okay, and also if you want to create a schedule for your backups, also simple. Create schedule. Let's say I want to do weekly backups. I will name it weekly. I select weekly time frame. Okay. And okay, right. On Sundays, 12:30, for example, submit. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so now next time I launch a backup, I could select a schedule, and Trilio will take care of connecting the schedule to that namespace, that target, all together in a backup plan. Okay. So this is I would say this to our prospects and customers. This is more or less 95% of the functionality that all customers do on an everyday basis. Okay, this is what you do, right? For all other stuff you want to do is the Trilio UI. Okay, we have the Trilio UI, and this is the Trilio UI. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a little different. Okay, while the backup is happening and the restore is happening, I can try to do a different type of restore. Okay, I can go to the same backup plan. It's the same one as the one we're using on the demo. I can see the list of backups. Okay, and what I can do is I'm going to do something that happens to customers also on an everyday basis. You want to do a migration of a VM to a different cluster, or you want to do a disaster recovery. Okay, most probably your clusters will be different. Okay, and then there are two types of differences: the ones you know and the ones you don't know. Okay, so for example, you might know that in one cluster you're using OpenShift Data Foundation and the other one is not using OpenShift Data Foundation, is using all the type of storage, all the type of CSI driver, and other storage class. Okay, so for a known difference, you can go to the restore. Okay, and in the restore process you can do a transform. Okay, you can go to the volume claim and you can say, okay, when you create this persistent volume claim in the secondary cluster, use this different storage class. Okay, and you could say, okay, but if it's known, it's easy to fix. Okay, but also there are other issues that can happen to you because you ignore things are different. Okay, so for example, I'm going to drive you through this custom restore with transform. Okay, so I'm going to restore in another namespace. Also, this is pre-created for this demo. Okay, I'm going to click next. Okay, in this section, I can say, for example, you saw I have 3 VMs. I want to restore just one. Okay, can I do that? Yes. So I go to virtual machine, and I could restore all of them or just one. Okay, I'm going to restore, I don't know, for example, this one, Rel 9. Okay, apply, and then add. Okay, so if I have 100 VMs in a backup, I can just choose the one I need. Okay, then I click next. Okay, and I'm presented with the add. Do you want to add any transform? Is anything different on the destination cluster? We're talking about any metadata, any route, any config map with credentials. You need to change the credentials because the database outside is different. You know what I mean? Okay, so you can modify anything you want. Okay, so if I want to change the storage class, I would go to the persistent volume claim. Okay, and I can change the storage class. Okay, but that's not what I want to show today. We're talking today about OpenShift virtualization. So I want to modify a virtual machine. Okay, there was a rel 9. Okay, I'm going to change something. Okay, and what if you want to change? You are just doing a migration, but you want to change the specs of the VM. Can you do that? Yes. So for example, I want to change the number of cores. Okay, so I don't know, this cluster is smaller and you want to change it, or it's bigger. From 1, you want to go to 4, okay, or to 2. I mean, I think this VM has 1, so I would change it to 2 just to see the difference, okay? And then you also want to change the memory, okay? So yeah, okay, let's go to the memory. Okay, let's make it 4 gigabytes. And then one thing that actually happened to us the other day, we have multiple clusters, OpenShift clusters, okay? And we were restoring a VM from one cluster to another. We thought they were the same, but they were not. They were different versions, okay? So the machine type that was supported by that OpenShift cluster, the one that was used in one was not supported in the other, okay? So if I want to change the chipset of a VM, I can also do that, okay? It's part of the spec of the VM, okay? Because this is what I'm changing. I'm changing the virtual machine configuration, okay? And we're trying to make it as simple as possible. So you don't have to go to the CLI, post restore or whatever. No, you can do it from here, okay? So let's say I change it to that, okay? I can preview the changes, so I can see in the left-hand side, you can see the original virtual machine, and on the right, the transformed virtual machine, okay? And Trilio helps you to see the changes with this red and green, okay? So all configuration was 1 core, now it's going to be 2, and then memory goes from 2 gigabytes to 4 gigabytes, okay? And we also change in the machine type, okay? Okay, I like it. Close, apply, and create. I can do more stuff, okay? But this is just what I want to do. You want to restore? Yes, I'm going to restore, okay? So this is one of the, okay, since I joined Trilio, we've had this feature, okay? And sometimes you only focus on the new features, on the coolest features, okay? But when you talk to people on an everyday basis, you see what they're interested. And when they see this, they love it. They love it the way we do it, okay? The transformations. It's a great capability. Having this possibility when you are migrating or doing disaster recovery is great. Okay, so yeah, that's why I wanted to show it to you today. Okay, right.
That's awesome.
So yeah. Yeah, so virtual machines, the overview, the backups. Yeah, now I have 5 backups. Okay, the backup 6 was the last one. That just happened. Okay, I can go to virtual machines. I don't know if the restore finished. Okay, if I go to Rodolfo restore, yep, I have the 3 VM. Oh, I didn't show you that they were not running over there, but they didn't exist. Oh, you can see in here, created 1 minute ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So we run a backup in this namespace Rodolfo, and we run a restore at the same time to a different namespace, okay? And we are running one restore now with transforms. I can see that, I can go to the Trilio dashboard, sorry, here in the overview of Trilio backups, okay? You can see the restore with transforms already happening. And if you, what was the Trilio URL? Oh, easy, we got a button here. You can open the Trilio UI. Okay, from OpenShift UI, in case you want to do something more advanced, okay? You can do a lot of stuff from here, changing configuration. You can play with continuous restore, which is the disaster recovery solution we can use on top of replication or not, okay? I think we discussed this in the past, okay? For faster RTO, okay? Yeah, this is the restore that's still happening. So I don't know if I will be able to see any virtual machine yet in the OpenShift restore with transform starting. Okay, but maybe if I click here now, yeah. So machine type is different. It was 9.4 and now this is 9.2. And my virtual machine has 2 CPUs and 4 gigabytes of memory. Okay, so and by the way, if everyone is thinking otherwise, this is all live, not recorded. Okay, so I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy by now. Everything is working as expected. Okay, it's always a risk. Okay. Now, so this is the basics. Okay, we can go from 0 to hero. This is the 0. Okay, you can start working from day 1. Okay, but we got other tools that you can use. Okay, for example, ACM. Right now, you've been working with Trilio. You are using ACM. You are a mature Red Hat customer. You want to enable operations at scale. Okay, you're a telco company with dozens of regional big clusters and maybe thousands of single node OpenShift all over the place. How do I manage that? Okay, solutions like ACM help you to do that. Okay, and from Trilio, we just have a very basic thing we do is we have 2 policies. One installs Trilio and the other one create backups. Okay, you can do, of course, you can do more advanced stuff. Okay, this is the basics that you can do. Okay, I can show you what we do. Okay, because their goal is, okay, I add a cluster to ACM and the ACM will install the operator automatically and it will take backups that you want. Okay, all automatic. Okay, nothing else to do. Okay, and the way to demonstrate this, for example, is going to this cluster. Okay, this is a different cluster. I have one backup plan here. It is this one. Okay, this backup plan, it was all created with ACM. Okay, and there's a configuration in the policy that says take a backup. Okay, now if there's no backup, once you join this cluster to the ACM, it will create this backup. Okay, now this already exists. But how can I demo that it's actually working? If I delete the backup, it would be like just add it to the cluster. Okay, ACM will detect it and it will take the backup. Okay, it usually takes between 1/4 of a second and 2 seconds. Okay, now it's taking the long. Okay, but you see, it detected the violation of the policy. Okay, you can see that in here. Okay, the violation was detected. Okay, this is normal stuff by now. Okay, 1 year ago this was like wow. Okay, for now this is easy. Okay, so
that is one of the most important feature that people ask, especially backup and compliance go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And people ask, how do I know that I have my SLA says like I need to have certain number of VMs, backups for a particular VM, because that is the promise that they made to their customer. ACM does it so effortlessly. It's a policy-based declarative kind of syntax, so easy. So I can't think about any OpenShift deployment, OpenShift virtualization deployment without ACM, especially in a scale environment, like when you have multiple virtualization clouds that they need to manage. ACM is a godsend.
100%. Yeah, the ACM is such an awesome platform, and we love those guys like that. Scott and Brad, like they're awesome. So like we bring them on every chance that we can get because ACM is like Trilio. It's one of those products that it's migrating, or
Yeah.
not. I'm sorry, not migrating, evolving all the time, and it's just getting better and better. And like the monitoring and like the observability stuff that's built into it, it's incredible.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, so yeah, you can see that the backup was already finished, okay, and so then, yeah.
Before we jump on, I just want to you kind of glossed over it. Like these policies it seems very like basic, but it's actually like it's pretty impressive, right? You're using a policy, a GitOps policy or an ACM policy to deploy an operator or to deploy a service onto a cluster. You're saying, hey, I want this package there, right? I want Trilio on my cluster, and it's not a question. I want it there, right? So you're defining a policy that says deploy this operator to this cluster, and then within that policy, you're creating another, or you're also creating another policy that says also do another thing. Now, you're still able. This is a GitOps type of deployment, right? You're controlling your configuration through a declarative manifest. So you don't always need OpenShift GitOps to do stuff like this. Like you can use policies to do this to get that same type of thing. But like you're using a very powerful function that is pretty much like you're able to configure clusters and describe your clusters from one place and then enforce it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, you just have to when you add a cluster to ACM,
Yeah.
the only decision that you need to make is, do I want it protected by Trilio or not? That is actually the only thing you need to do. Once you label a cluster as protected by Trilio or whatever you want based on your policy, it's done. It's protected. It's as simple as it's. Well, there is one thing more that it can make it even more simple, which is integrating with event-driven Ansible and a monitoring solution. That's one of the things. That's one of the talks we are presenting. Kevin is presenting it at the Red Hat Summit. Okay,
awesome.
So you can have your backups. You can have a monitoring solution that will tell event-driven Ansible, hey, something happened, and then you will have some intelligence in event-driven Ansible, and then you can restore all automatic. Okay, or not. You can stop before finally restoring, because I get that question a lot. Do I have to do everything automatic? And I say, no, you can. It's like continuous integration and continuous deployment. You want to do everything or not? Many customers are scared. They don't want to. Okay, just the last part, you can do it by hand if you want. It's up to you. But we give you the possibility of using the OpenShift UI to manage backups or manage it at scale, thousands of clusters with event-driven recovery. Okay, so
That's
this
awesome.
is the beauty. It's the beauty of cloud native integrations and all of this. Okay,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So if you want to see about this latest integration I told you with event-driven Ansible and monitoring solutions, just go to Kevin's talk in the Red Hat Summit in May. Okay, it's really good, really good. Okay. Now the last one I want to talk about is one feature that I love. Okay. But it's like a hidden feature. Not a lot of people know about. Okay, you mentioned before GitOps. Okay, why GitOps is so critical? I always recommend prospects and customers, listen, if you want to do the right thing, because if they give me $1 every time someone asks me, hey, but do you protect the OpenShift configuration? Can I recover if everything burns, can I recover everything? Okay, and I say, okay, you can take backup of certain namespaces that you want, certain objects. Certainly you can do that. Okay, with Trilio, okay, that's true. I don't know, OAuth configuration, network attachment definitions. You can back up all of those if you want, daily basis, hourly, or whatever you want. Okay, but if you want to do the right thing, you want to implement a GitOps methodology. Okay, so you deploy your cluster and then you have all your configuration in a Git repo, which you can apply anytime you want, or you can have Argo CD or any GitOps operator that updates your cluster. Okay, and you change the Git repo configuration. You don't change the cluster straight away. So if something happens to your cluster, you just have to rebuild the cluster, apply the configuration with Argo CD, and that's it. You're done. Now the only part left is the workloads, the applications, the VMs. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And one thing, but when I talk to customers, prospects, or even Red Hat support, they tell me, you know how many people are not doing GitOps? I say 95, and then they tell me 99. So not a lot of customers are using GitOps to apply configuration to the cluster or even deploying applications using GitOps. A lot of people, okay? So for those customers, if they have operators like Keycloak, 3Scale, Redis, OpenShift pipelines, if they're doing changes constantly, how do you protect those?
Yeah.
Okay, so we do, okay? And I'm not going to use the Trilio UI or the OpenShift UI to show you how to do that. I'm going to go use Ansible automation platform, okay?
Hey, Rodolfo, we have a quick question.
Yeah.
It's from rhope9, and it says, does Trilio work with the new global hub layer at ACM? So, you know, ACM's got like the global hub for all the lower, I don't want to like spoke hubs, right? So, and then everything bubbles up, all the telemetry bubbles up to that global hub interface. Does Trilio work at that level and work down?
I was reading about that yesterday, but I couldn't go deeper. And I don't know. That's my honest answer.
Fair.
I don't know.
That's fair.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about the operator backup and the integration with Ansible automation platform. Okay, so these are some workflows and templates that we create for our demos. Okay, so yeah, people is using Ansible automation platform, and they want to see what we can do with this integration. Okay, so we can create a namespace backup plan. From here, we can back up a namespace, we can back up multiple namespaces, and we have one very special, okay, which is the pipeline, OpenShift Pipelines operator backup, okay? So what this one is going to do, because you just don't want to protect a namespace. You want to protect all namespaces where OpenShift Pipelines is deployed, and you have pipeline runs and task runs, and you want to protect all of those, okay? So there are different ways to do it. You can say, okay, back up all namespaces where there are these kind of objects, okay? You can have a list of, okay, protect namespaces pipeline 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what we have here. And it is really simple. Of course, you can do this from the Trilio UI. You can schedule it. You can run it every day. Or you can take a backup with this way whenever you want, okay? In different clusters, because I can have different credentials, you know, using credentials in Ansible, and I'm going to connect to one of my clusters, which has OpenShift pipelines deployed, okay? And it has 5 namespaces, okay? With a OpenShift pipelines objects, okay? So just with this, I'm protecting the operator. Which one? OpenShift pipelines, okay? I could restore one of these backups to another cluster, okay? It will install the operator, and it will restore all these objects, okay? I don't, without GitOps, this is the way, okay? So yeah, so I took the chance to show you operator backup, which I think is critical nowadays, okay, because it's gaining, it has a lot of momentum, but it's gaining more, okay.
Right.
And yeah, for those customers that they don't have the capabilities of implementing a GitOps approach, and they're making changes on a daily basis, I would be scared if you don't have data protection for those operators.
Yeah, I think even like in some of the conversations that I've been having lately, like it really comes down to like trying to get people directly off the cluster, right? Like the GitOps mindset, right? It's like, okay, get people committing to writing their applications, pushing that in, letting the controller deploy to the cluster, and letting the cluster manage the, you know, like that workflow where the controller says, hey, here's what we want. It deploys it to the cluster, and then that's the loop, right? The developer to get to, or the developer to get to the controller to the cluster. And then
yeah. You can have one instance of Argo CD to manage the cluster, or you can even have a Git repo. I commit something, it's deployed automatically to a sandbox environment. I check that everything is correct, and then I can deploy in production. Okay, so that way you can make changes to your OpenShift cluster with no risk. If something happens, you can always go back. You see that the stupid Rodolfo did something wrong, so you can blame him. Yeah, you can do that. You can roll back, and you can have another instance of Argo CD for your applications. You can do wonderful things, okay? But it's complex sometimes to set up, okay? So I just, and customers, they are like, I need to have this running next week. I need it next week, okay? So I need it now, and then you start making changes, and 6 months from now, you don't have GitOps, and then you need this.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically that was everything on my side. I don't know if you want to see anything else or you have any more questions or Murali, you want to mention something else. By the way, I forgot to mention before, one of the cool features of being cloud native is that if you run OpenShift on-prem, Trilio works OpenShift on-prem or ROSA or Arrow or ROSA 8 hosted control planes, ROSA bare metal virtualization, whatever you want. Okay, single node OpenShift,
It just
okay,
works.
it just works. Even
So
I think we're the only one doing IBM Power architecture. We are certified as well. Okay,
awesome.
so
I think you probably answered my question, and I'll just ask it anyways, just so I've got it out in the universe. But like, I'm assuming this all works. Like you said on-prem, but does it work in like disconnected environments or like heavily restricted environments?
yeah, you just have to create this image mirror repository so
Hmm.
you can install the operator. That's it, as any other operator. That's all.
So
Yeah,
then,
the air gap environment, we do support air gap environments.
okay,
Because our offering is an certified operator in the operator hub for Red Hat, so it is seamlessly integrated, so seamlessly available in the air gap environments.
okay. So as long as you pull down everything that you need, there's
Yeah,
no like call home or anything that's gonna be
yeah,
okay. Awesome.
yeah. I think
I,
one thing I have to emphasize is, and what Rodolfo touched on the demo. I think it's not by chance, but I think the emphasis on the ecosystem, right? We can jam so much functionality in our UI, the observability, like these policy, but that's not the point. The point is obviously the ecosystem play is there, and we are a good player into the ecosystem, because just jamming too much functionality in our UI is not going to help the customer, because when they are deploying their IT, they are using different tools to monitor to do various things, and we play into that ecosystem.
mhm. So can you? So I know we've done a lot of like migration talk and stuff like that. So like, say if I take a backup, am I? And I know this is silly, but like, can I export that out to like a VMDK or to a QCal2 or a raw file, and then move that actual base image around? Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, hey, if I have a mirror registry somewhere, right, and I pull down all these images because I have a bunch of disconnected network or a bunch of disconnected clusters all over the place. It kind of makes sense, right? I pull this image down, right? I
Mhm.
do all the stuff on a VM. I snap it, or I take a backup of it because snapshots are bad. You take a backup of it, and then you export that image out, and then you move it between your different environments. Is that
Yeah,
another workflow that you guys see?
yeah, that makes perfect sense. You brought up a very good point. The thing that we didn't touch upon is, what is our backup format, right? We don't use any custom format or anything
We
like
love that question. Yes.
that. Our backup images are nothing but QCOT images.
Okay.
So that, and so, that naturally goes with your ask, like, how can I export it? Yeah, you can export it. It's just a QCOT image. You can just do a CPR, a bunch of CP files, and the metadata is a YAML file, obviously. So it's easy to basically, if you want to do something outside, if you have some unique use case that we don't support in our product, but you want to realize that with some scripting or Ansible or something like that, right? Based on our backup images, you can do that because they're nothing but QCOT and YAML files.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Yeah, that's one use case that I see a lot, where we're trying to mirror images down, and then you're really trying to move like that bundle between your environment, like maybe your connected environment and your disconnected. Because in my case, in my background, I come from like, you have multiple disconnected environments and they can't talk to each other, and so you're exporting multiple times and you're trying to move it around, and it can become obnoxious, right? So just having something where you pull down one thing and maybe you have to update a DNS entry, or the fact that you can modify the CPU architecture and stuff like that, I think is freaking dope. Like, I love that. So being able to do that, and then because I'm assuming like when it's just cloud init underneath, right? It's making all the changes to that, and then
Yeah, it's patching.
okay, that's so dope. Yeah, I love it.
As I said, we've been doing. I joined Trilio, and this functionality was already here.
Hmm.
But we keep building. We're very fast building new stuff, and we forget about the old stuff. Okay, like our non-proprietary backup format, QCO2, file and folder recovery. It's out of the box. Okay, it's just mount like guest fix or whatever. It's simple.
Yeah.
We try to make it simple. It's the Trilio's philosophy. It comes from OpenStack and it comes to KVM in OpenShift Virtualization.
Yeah.
It's just
so the file recovery is another thing that is the most important thing, and especially people in VMware world, that's taken for granted. Like you don't
yes.
recover. A lot of cloud admins that I talk to or we talk to, they always say they hardly recover a VM. They recover files all day. Right? That is one of the key functionality, and we are rolling out that functionality. I think very soon. I don't have a clear timeline, but it's not quarters away, but it's probably a few weeks away. The idea is obviously, when you look at the VM, we cannot assume anything about the VM. VM could use LVM volumes, or it could use LDM, which is on the Windows side, and they may have like different file system like XFS or ext7. So in order to support every possible guest and then support the file recovery, so this is this file recovery feature that we are rolling out that supports wide range of file systems. As long as the Linux can recognize the file system, we support the file recovery.
That's awesome.
So that's going to be an awesome feature that we are rolling out. And we are also enhancing kind of scheduling. So we are introducing a few more scheduling parameters where people can schedule the backups without basically overwhelming the cluster. And there are various parameters that we plan to introduce. One based on the target, how many backups that can be outstanding at any given time. So there are a few parameters that we are going to define that gives a lot more control over the backup processes without overwhelming the cluster.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like one thing, Rodolfo, like in your demo too, right? You're not jumping back and forth. You can do a majority of the work that you need to do in the OpenShift console. So it's one interface that you're dealing with for a majority of the time. And then like on the advanced side, or for like the more like, hey, I need to get in the nuts and bolts, right?
Yeah.
I'm knob turning at this point, right?
Yeah, as I said, 95% of what as a sysadmin and operations team usually do, that's in the OpenShift UI.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the rest, like right now, I mounted the disk of the CentOS VM. Okay. So that can be done nowadays. Okay. So I just wanted to show it to you. I can open a folder. I can download the file. This is from the Trilio UI. We don't have this functionality in the OpenShift UI. But as I said, you have this beautiful button, Launch Trilio Dashboard. You go to the Trilio UI, and then you go to the backup plan, select the backup, browse data, and choose the disk you want to open. That's it. It's like usual guest fees, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, up.
And are those managed by different RBACs? So like I what you see in the OpenShift console would be like maybe an operator, right? Like a cloud operator, and then you have a cloud admin that would maybe only have access would have access to both, right? The OpenShift console and the Trilio. Okay.
Yeah. For example, here I'm doing kubeadmin because yesterday I forgot to add to my limited user. I didn't add permission for virtual machines.
That's my username too. It's okay.
Yeah. So that's why I can see virtual machines and backups. If I log in as Rodolfo in the OpenShift UI, I don't see the VMs, but I can do backups.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Completely true. And in the Trilio UI, I think I logged in as I'm going to unmount this. In the Trilio UI, I actually logged in as Rodolfo. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a limited usage, not Rodolfo. RBAC 100% functionality.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love this UI, by the way. Like I'm a like. I don't know how to do it, but like I know what I like, and I like very minimalist like UIs that just give you exactly what you need, and then if you need to like, I don't know, I think that I love the way that this looks. It's very clean.
Very good. Yeah, so we have translations to Spanish for our LATAM customers. You can change it. It's cool. It's not perfect, but it is functioning. Okay, so yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the continuous restore? This is something new functionality. I think that is a lot more differentiating. It's not.
Yes, if we have time, yes. Okay, so When talking about disaster recovery, okay, I explain to our customers and prospects every day. They tell me, what is your RTO and RPO? Okay, and when they want, oh no, we don't want that. We want immediate recovery. And I say, okay, first of all, to do that right now, you need a storage replication. Okay, and a storage replication, be it ODF or whatever other replication, is cool. It's great. You get very low RTO and RPO, but what's the problem? If you drop tables in this cluster, you're going to drop tables in the other one. If there is an OpenShift bug, which never happens, or a Trilio bug, or an application bug that is corrupting your volumes, it's going to corrupt the volumes in the other side. Or if you run an Ansible playbook with the wrong scope and you break something in this cluster, it's going to be broken on the other side. So replication is awesome, but it's not perfect. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a disaster and like this, and replication is not helping, you need to restore from backup. Okay. Now, restoring from backup traditionally is being considered very, very slow. RTO, hours or days. Okay. Now we have this functionality. I'm going to open the Trilio website. So can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah. So we have here continuous recovery and restore. That's how we call it. Okay. So it is, what we do is this: we take a backup, and then Trilio will take care of restoring that data to another cluster. Okay, and unlike traditional storage replication, we can do one to many or many to one. I tell this to our telco customers: listen, you don't have to be one cluster to one cluster. You can do 1 to 2, or you can do 3 to 1, and you save 2 clusters. You're saving money. Okay, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
if cluster 1 fails, you can start those workloads almost immediately in the recovery cluster. But same for cluster 2 and cluster 3. Okay, I mean, Trilio is a tool. How you use it is up to you and based on your needs. Okay, so yeah, this is what Trilio does. It's first we take the backup, and Trilio will monitor the backup target, and when it detects a backup, it will create the data in the destination cluster in the form of a consistent set, which is a volume snapshot. And what is the benefit of this? We are replicating in the background while there is no rush. Everything is working. But when something goes wrong, the backup is already there, restored. It's not running, okay? But instead of having to copy the data from the NFS or S3 to the cluster, that can take hours, you can recover in minutes, because the volume snapshot will be converted to persistent volume, and all is orchestrated, and that's it. That's continuous restore. Okay. So how do I enable that in Trilio? You have to go to targets. Okay. You have to choose the target you want to use for this, because both clusters or all the clusters involved in this architecture will be writing to the target. Okay. Trilio is stateless. Everything is in the target. Okay. So you need to enable this flag, and then Trilio will start certain services to monitor that backup target. Okay, and we will see this in green. Okay, and then you go to the backup plan of the namespace you want to protect. Okay, for example, this one, right? And you go to edit. Okay, you configure your normal snapshot policy that stay in the cluster, backup policy that are taken outside of the cluster. You click next. If in case you want to add, I don't know, a network attachment definition, so when I restore my VM to a different namespace, it will restore also the network attachment definition and everything works. Okay, but if not, just leave it like this. Then you click next, and then you can configure a remote Trilio instance. Okay, and then Trilio will do that work for you. Okay, as you can see, I only have one on DC4, OCP DC4, and I think I have 5 latest backups will be replicated to the other side in the form of volume snapshot. Okay, if you want to add another cluster, you can click add new, and other clusters configure will appear here. You can do one to many. Okay, now
That's cool.
is this working? Okay, I can go to the tab continuous restore. Okay, and I can see that actually outbound is taking 8 backups outside. Okay, so if I go to outbound, okay, I could see that my backup plan protecting Rodolfo namespace has exactly 5 of 5. Okay, and if I trigger a new backup, it will remove the oldest and put there the newest one. Okay, so it's always the latest 5. It's like this. And if I go to DC4, I will go to the inbound section. Okay. Let me go there. Okay. I can go to the inbound section. Okay. Sorry.
Yep.
Self-signed certificates.
Every one of us.
Yeah. So yeah, if I go to DC4, I want to show you the consistent sets that were copied to the other side. Give me a second.
Yep.
Again.
Yep. The good old this is unsafe.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, kubeadmin. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the disaster recovery cluster. Okay, I'm going to go to the continuous restore section. Okay, and I'm going to see that in the inbound, okay, this cluster is receiving backups. Okay, so if I go there, you see 5 of 5, I can click over there. Okay, and if I restore from here any of those 5 backups, okay, it will restore from the volume snapshot that already exists in the cluster. Okay, so even if it's 100 gigabyte persistent volume or 200 gigabyte, it will take around 2 minutes, 3 minutes to restore. Okay, so that coupled with the replication is great. But what happens if you have to restore from backup? Instead of taking 2 hours, you can do it in 2 minutes. It's a big advantage. Okay,
that's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, my transform VM is already running. So except from the self-signed certificates, I think the live demo went okay.
If self-signed certificates are the worst thing that happens, like, hey, you killed it.
I signed, of course.
You crushed it. No, this was awesome. I learned a lot today, and it's cool. I'm glad that you showed the different, like, not to be like very Red Hat heavy or anything like that, but like I'm glad that you showed ACM and the integrations, because I think that it's important that people know that, like, there's another way of GitOpsing through ACM that doesn't.
Yes.
You don't always have to have a GitOps controller like Argo CD or Flux or something like that. You can use something like ACM, and how important it actually is to have something like that when you've got N+1 clusters, right? Like when you start managing 1 or 2 clusters, okay, you can do it. It's fine, no problem. When you start getting into like tens and dozens and hundreds of clusters, like you really need something. You need automation. You need to be able to recover faster. And I'm glad that you were able to show like the swath of that. I'm super interested in seeing Kevin's talk on the event-driven stuff, because like it's where it's going, right? We want to be able to respond to something, and sometimes we want to be able to automatically respond to something based off of an event. So do I want to make a decision to do it manually? Okay, maybe I do, but there's some things that I'm like, go ahead and do that thing. Please go do it and make it awesome.
By the way, we have a couple of other talks. One of them is a lab, OpenShift Virtualization and Trilio. Okay, so anyone going to attending the Red Hat Summit that want to test Trilio, installing Trilio, deploying Trilio, taking a backup of certain number of VMs to S3 target, and then doing a restore in a different or namespace, yes, you are invited to do that. I'll be there.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. So do you know? And this is a maybe question, I guess. Like, and if you, I don't know if I'm crossing the line here actually, but after Summit, right? Are those labs going to be available online or anything like that, or like is there like a free download?
I love that question, because you know where they are. They are in demo.redhat.com. Okay,
what?
So internal associates can run those labs, and all partners of Red Hat can run those labs right now. You can go to partner.demo.redhat.com and you can run those labs. It is there. It's going to. I hope they're there forever.
That is sweet. That's awesome. Awesome. So okay, and then for those that aren't partners and those that are not internal, like, is there? I'm assuming there's probably some online stuff that they can do, or is it?
Yeah, you can contact us anyway. We are all over the place, LinkedIn or whatever. Ask for a trial license. We will give it to you, and then you can use it for 30 days with no restrictions. And we will help you. We will solve any question. Our support team is great. In case you run into any question or architectural decision, we will try to help you, of course.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm stoked. I'm glad you guys came on. This has been awesome. Now that I know that it's in the demo platform, I'm going to try and go check it out. I'll also be at Summit, so I'll come look for you, and I'll try and once hopefully I remember, but I'll look around for you, and hopefully we can catch up for a minute.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Murali and Rodolfo, give you the floor if you want to have any closing comments or anything like that before we jump off of here.
I think this has been a wonderful session, and thanks a lot for letting us show what we have, what's been cooking for the last 1 year. And I think we have a lot more exciting features that we are working on. Thanks for having us on your session. Thank you.
Yeah. The only thing I have to say is see you next year.
Yeah, man. Hey, and that's I was gonna say, like, if you're working on something and you're like, hey, we're ready to show this off, hit me or Sully up, and we would love to have you guys come back because I know, not to speak directly for Sully, but we're nerds and we love this stuff. So like to see all the new stuff coming out and to see how it's all working together, I think it's pretty incredible. So
okay, next time I will show you the CLI.
Yeah, thank you. Because I'm not a GUI guy, so I was like, but
we'll run some playbooks with Trilio and restore and whatever from one public cloud to another public cloud. We can show you that easily.
Hell yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I'm all about it. But no, thank you guys for coming on. I really do appreciate your time. I know you're busy, and it means a lot to me. It means a lot to our viewers and to Sully for you guys to take the time and come out here and put your stuff out there like that. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. And so with that, we're going to close out. Next week, I believe we have a guest. I'm going to have to confirm, and I'll try and get everything scheduled. But just a reminder, March 12th, docs.openshift.com will go to docs.redhat.com. And then I provided the link earlier. I'll put it in the description of the video. There are going to be some firewall changes to the container registry for OpenShift. So you want to make sure that your environments are configured correctly for those. Rodolfo, Morale, thank you so much for coming on to the stream. I really do appreciate your time. Please don't wait a year. We want you to come back before that. So, we're looking forward to it. And I'll see you at Summit.
Thank you very much. See you.
All right, see ya.